doing today? We got an emergency flank. I'm joined by the 20-time champion, the 2-time world champion, the legend himself, co-host of the flank, Mr. Patty P. Eggs, and the one and only, my dude, my friend, my companion, staple to the Call of Duty scene. How you guys all doing? It's Ben J. Nassim. Ben, Pat, what's going on with you guys today?
Not much.
Talk to me. Talk to me.
How about?
Yeah, so I mean, you know, just a long, busy day of working on some game. You know how I'm doing my thing.
Right. Just
and
game developing and shit.
Yeah, and then obviously, you know, you hit the phone, you say, hey, emergency flank tonight, and I said I'll be there. So that's where we're at.
Well, Pat, things are hitting the fucking fan, Pat. It's the reason I gotta call this. I gotta call this emergency flank. I know Ben's smiling, he's laughing over there. What's the problem, Ben? What's the problem?
I just like it when he starts turning on the accent.
You know me. Sometimes I turn it on just because I'm getting all hyped up. You know, but I think, listen, I really did not expect this, but the Paris Legion are looking to make a roster change. Now, nothing's definite yet. Of course, it's CDL, Intel, and usually they're right? Like, Crone is right majority of the time. But they're saying that Tom Gravity and Jimbo are coming in for potentially Decimate and Fellow. What are your guys' immediate thoughts? Pat, I know you keep saying how Paris is never going to change. They're never going to change. Ben's been saying that they've been wanting to change this and that. And now it seems like they might actually be listening, Pat. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like, look, Tom, I'm not gonna jump the gun here. I'm not gonna give them credit yet until I see that the contracts have been inked and the deal is official. But Tom, I will say, it's good news, right? I mean, this Paris team, like, aside from that one series against FaZe, just didn't look very competitive against, you know, the rest of the league, and it was a change that I think was needed. You know, I think the rumor here is Desi and Fellow. You know, to be honest, I could see a couple different iterations of who to replace and who to pick up. But look, at the end of the day, shout out to Paris, man. I mean, they knew that they weren't good. They knew they were doing poorly, and they stepped up to the plate. And I think, you know, Tom Gravity, you know, I'm not going to speak too much on Jimbo just because I'm not, you know, too accustomed to him and his performances in challengers so far. But I think Tom Gravity, and we all kind of have talked about this before, he was kind of, you know, someone that was just hadn't had that opportunity yet that earned it. So, you know, if this is true and this is, you know, a position for him to join the CDL, I think it makes a lot of sense, and I'd be happy for him. So yeah, man, just shout out Paris for stepping up to the plate and making a move if this is what is happening.
Ben, what do you think?
I think from my POV, you know, you and I know Tom very well. I think we could talk on Tom a little bit later. I want to speak a little bit more on Jimbo. You know, someone that's kind of interesting, 18, 24 months. He's definitely a good prototype SMG type player, very aggressive. And I think kind of what people might know him for is he had a little bit of an incident last year. And I would hope that he's grown from that, because there's going to be a big opportunity for him. He's got the skill, but I think to Pat's note, like, this is a positive move for Paris. You know, I think they had some interesting players on their roster, and obviously performances haven't been there. And they're trying to get more in line with where the meta is right now. And I also think, to kind of frame this move, is I think that what we've seen out of Temp so far is a sort of flex third sub player. Like, this is going to put him in a much better position to have space on the map to make plays. Don's not always that frontline player. He's hitting routes. He's that flashy player. And so if they can build a really good system around him and a really solid foundation in S&D, like, I really can see this team moving up the power rankings.
Yeah, I think at least for me, I feel like they definitely upgraded. I mean, they're making changes, so they're upgrading in a way, because they haven't been seeing any success. Do I agree with the changes? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I like the Tom Gravity and Jimbo duo. I like that. I just don't know how they're going to compare even the roster on paper of Tom Gravity, Jimbo, Donnie, and John compared up to all the other rosters that I'm looking at. It just doesn't do it for me. I'm going to be completely honest.
You want me to be honest? I think they need to just go ahead and make the extra step and pick up someone like Cole Havoc in place of John. I think that would really help this roster, because, like you said, Ben, I think we can all agree this change alone is going to bump them in the standings, right?
Yeah.
The problem is, how far of a bump are they really going to get, right? Because if they're sitting at 12th right now, I say this change definitely gives them room, like gives, they get some legs under them to be, in that 8 through 12 for sure, like out of the 12 spot. But yeah, I don't know how much success they'll see past that, because this is a super stacked league at the moment.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good teams in that, even in that like 6 through 10 range. And yeah, I think John was also pretty lackluster. I mean, he had some moments, don't get me wrong, but overall he wasn't very consistent, and I don't know how he necessarily fits into this roster. I would have liked to see a more hyper aggressive sub, and someone who's playing extremely well in challengers, like as we mentioned Havoc is doing. So yeah, I don't know if they just stop there. I think they might want to look into making the full-blown change.
And I'm surprised too to hear names like not so much Tom Gravity, because Tom Gravity's been waiting for a shot like this, but more like Jimbo. I know Tom's played with Jimbo a lot, and maybe that's where the chemistry's coming into play, and maybe they enjoy playing with each other. But like, you're right, Pat, like somebody like Havoc, that guy's been popping a fuck off. And listen, he's been on the big stage before. You know what you're gonna get out of Havoc. You know he's a good player, and Havoc has always been a good player. He's just always gone through these little spurts. I don't know what it is, where like it's just all falling apart. Like, I feel like he has his ups and downs, Havoc, but right now he's playing really, really well. So I don't know. It might just be like a chemistry thing with Tom and Jimbo. But I personally think it's just there's so much talent in the Challengers League. Like, you got to be careful with the pickups that you make. I like the changes. I just don't know, compared to the rest of the teams in the league, if they're going to compete. I still think I'm going to see them all the way at the bottom for the most part. They might
all the way?
Maybe not all the way, because New York Subliners are looking rough right now. They're looking rough, but I mean, right now, I think I got to put Paris, probably top, maybe like 8th through 12th right now. I mean, where would you put them? Where would you guys put them? I mean, listen, we got a tier list here, and I want to hop right into it because I thought we could do a quick little.
Before you go on the tier list, I want to speak on something, Tom.
Yeah, sure, go ahead,
just because I didn't clarify it in the remarks. So for those that aren't aware, like, I think Jimbo could have gotten called up sooner, but he had an incident last year, I believe, where he was it a real match? I don't remember if it was a match or a scrim, but he said something he shouldn't have said to another fellow player, and he got in a lot of trouble, and he got suspended. He served that suspension, so I think he played phenomenal in that first year, and probably could have gotten an opportunity last year if it wasn't for that incident. But to your note, like, I'm very curious as we do this tier list where we think now they sit.
Yeah, I mean, we'll take a look. I think we can go into it right now and just and go through this, but I feel like it's not gonna bump them too much. Listen, I want Tom Gravity and Jimbo to come in and make a statement. I mean, these guys have been in Challengers, they've been running the show in Challengers, so now it's time for them to come in, if this is even happening. Because did you see CDL's tweet after the fact? They said that they said something. Let me see if I can pull it up. But they said something about how this might not be the case, that there's another duo, like another group of guys that they're looking at too.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
So this might not even be a definite thing. I mean, I don't know exactly what's going on.
Tom, the positive here is that they're looking to make a change, right? They're not just rolling over and playing dead. I think
which is good, because I mean, listen, none of us saw this coming, and maybe there's a change. Are we seeing a change in the Paris Legion, Pat? Are we seeing a change with these guys or what? Like, we're actually seeing some changes here, which is a good thing.
Listen, Tom. Like I said, when I my first statement on the show is I can't give them full credit yet until I see that some contracts have been inked, because this could just be we tried, but we didn't make a move, and they show up with the same roster. Ben, I guess I have a question for you: are they allowed to make this change for Major 1, or are they roster locked with the fact that these 4 guys played this whole first stage out? Are they able to make this change and go to the event?
I'm not sure how the roster lock rules work in the CDL.
But that's interesting, Ben, because you are executive producer of the Flank and the head of Esports Engine, to my knowledge.
I'm not the head of Esports Engine, but I'll do it.
But
Ben definitely doesn't handle that, I don't think.
But that's something we should look into, right? And see if that's a possibility, because that's 2 weeks away now, and that would be a big change.
No, bro,
right?
it's next week. It's
next week. It's next week.
Bro, it's literally in a week from now to be the first.
It's Wednesday, man. Like, that's 2 weeks, bro. It's Wednesday. Listen, the way I do my schedule is, if it's not this weekend, it's next weekend. That's 2 weeks.
Bro, that ain't 2 weeks.
Listen, Ben, relax. Ben.
Guys off the shit.
Hold on, Ben. If it's not this weekend, that's 1 weekend, right? So then it's the following weekend, which means it's on the second weekend, which means it's 2 weeks. But anyway, Tom, let's get into this tier list. I know you got it brought up.
Let's get into it. I actually just switched back because you were ranting about this shit, but let's keep it going now. All right, we're gonna get into the tier list. For me, I don't think much is gonna change at the top. For me, I'm gonna be honest. I think the middle of the pack is where things are gonna get interesting. But I think we should just go team to team. And guys, listen. We're going to be doing this tier list based off what? Just what we've seen so far.
Stage one.
Stage one. All of stage one. This is pre-major, right? And then after the major, we'll compare the tier list and see what's going on. But let's kick things off. I think we should start with Atlanta FaZe. They're first.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. Do we want to go top to bottom or do we want to go team by team?
Let's go alphabetical, I think.
Alphabetical?
Dude, I gotta like
Wait.
A, B, C, D. What do you mean alphabetical? That's
Who
way
the fuck
harder.
do you? Wait, who the fuck's doing it up?
Let's not overthink this.
All right, let's go from the.
Oh my god! Yeah,
Let's
listen, let's
back on topic.
Let's just drag the team one by one, and we'll go through it one by one. And I think we should start with Atlanta FaZe.
Yeah. S tier, unless y'all have a fire take.
All right, before we get Ben's biased opinion.
Yeah, here we go.
FaZe is definitely S tier, guys. So we need to have FaZe as it's currently the number one team in the game, 5-0 in the league, looking great. So yeah, we definitely need to throw them in S tier for sure.
I think even when you talk to pros, they talk about it. FaZe is the team to beat. Everybody's looking at FaZe. Everybody wants to beat these guys. They're the team that's been finding a lot of success the last couple years. They found a lot of success now. They're the only team. They're the only team, right? Undefeated right now that hasn't lost yet.
Yeah.
That currently hasn't lost yet. So I mean, you got to throw them up at S. They're performing, but one thing you do got to keep in mind is everybody's out to get these guys, man. Everybody's looking at these guys. So they got a target on their back. So we'll see if FaZe can do what they do. But we're gonna throw them up in the S tier to kick things off. But
I think FaZe is
Tom,
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And I might be totally off base when I say this, so I'm double checking this math first. I think FaZe is on a 3-game losing streak at ESA currently. They lost the 2 back-to-back matches at Major 5, and they lost Kickoff Classic. So one to watch. I think they're playing good. Control is probably a little iffy, but they do have a little bit of a losing streak right now at ESA, so I can make some things interesting.
What is ESA?
Yeah, what is that?
Esports Stadium Arlington, where the event's taking place because they played Major 4.
Give me a break, man. That doesn't have anything to do with anything. What kind of ESPN arbitrary stat is that? That's like those stats where you see like legends, like NBA legends and their averages, and then you see fucking what's his name, bro? Where they just throw up some bum who just happened to have the same averages. Get out of here, Ben. I don't want that arbitrary garbage on the flank anymore. Wait, not on an esports Arlington venue.
So you're saying that there's something, because I'm a little confused.
Thaddeus Young.
You're saying that it's something to do with the venue? Is that what you're saying?
Listen, I'm just
Bro,
saying.
He said that FaZe suck at the esports
let him go ahead. Ben, go ahead.
Listen, first off, they won an event there last year, so no, they don't suck at the venue. I'm just saying that the last 3 matches they played there, they haven't won. They do have to play Boston first round. I think that's definitely a match that they're favored in. Just want to toss it out there. They need to obviously get rid of that losing streak, and if they win that matchup, and if OpTic win, we're gonna have OpTic FaZe in winter semis.
Yeah, I mean,
on the weekend.
Okay. But as long as you're not saying the venue is being a factor, I think Pat's okay with that, right? As long as
yeah. I mean, if they lose, to
I
Boston,
think Pat just thought you were saying, the venue, this and that.
My point is
out there, brother.
Yeah. But my point is, if we come back from this event and we have the flank obviously to discuss the event, and Ben goes, well, that's 5 losses in a row at ESA. I'll lose it.
That is like ridiculous, especially coming from a team who won an event there, won a big event there. So that's not gonna happen.
Y'all being haters, but it's all good.
All right. Well, let's get into
the Toronto Ultra. Where would we put these guys? Where are we going?
So
Ben, let's kick it off with you, Ben, and then Pat. We'll go. Yeah, we'll end it with us.
They definitely aren't in their best of form right now. But they did just win the last event at Kickoff Classic. They're somewhere based on form, they're somewhere between A and S right now. I don't know if we can put them in S's based on where they place through these 5 matches, but they're definitely like a high A if we're just gonna like toss things out
Me
there.
personally, I'm thinking high A, but Pat, I want to know what you think. What do you think here?
Tom, I want you to hit that little settings button over there, and I want you to add A+.
You want me to add a settings button and add an A+? Oh, come on.
Yeah, let's add a tier. I like this.
How you gonna do this to me right now?
You know how to do that? I don't
No,
know
how do I do that? Add a row above.
Ben would know.
You hit the gear wheel and you can add.
Did that work? New. Oh, I did it.
Oh, okay. Now we got to name it A+.
Boom. A+.
Easy peasy.
There we go. Wow.
Throw them in there. It's their own
That
tier.
is some good production there. That is some good production. Wait, who you want me to throw who in the A+?
Oh no, Ultra.
They're in there. Yeah, they're in there. Ultra's in the A+. I think that's a pretty good spot to put them. I feel like they're definitely. It's just from the recent struggles, right? It's the only reason why I'm keeping them away from S. Personally.
Yeah, I mean you gotta think they played OpTic and had to deal with the F8 stabilizer drama.
Yeah.
Granted, OpTic definitely would have won that series, so they look like the better team. And then they played a good Thieves team right away, and it was the weirdest series ever. They 100-point clubbed them map 1, and then just looked flat the rest of the series. So I think we know where this team's ceiling is, and I think we know this team gets better on LAN as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, you know, if we're going off stage 1, I think they're definitely an A+ team because they're better than the other teams in A, and that's why.
Okay, so
I don't think they're A+ right now. I don't know why you added another tier. Like I don't think their form. They just listen.
let them talk. Let them talk though. Go ahead, Ben. Go ahead.
Off for the 59th time on the show.
let them talk. Go ahead, Ben. Go.
You know, they obviously look great at Kickoff Classic. But they've been on really poor form the last few weeks. Respawn's been up and down. I think the S&D has been a real struggle for them, and it's a surprise because they've been a pretty solid S&D team since they picked up Insight. I think putting them in A is fair considering their form. They can very quickly move up to S once this team gets on LAN, but like, you know, we've seen enough from them now that I think to just put them in their own tier. I don't know.
Okay, Pat, you got the floor. Pat, you got the floor. Go ahead.
Ben. If you're gonna say that I said that the event was 2 weeks away, and you're gonna say Ultra hasn't looked good for the past few weeks. By the way, few means 3 or more. Okay, few doesn't mean 2.
Few does not mean it means
few means 3 or more.
Multiple.
Listen, they played 2 games this past weekend. That's the only games they really looked bad in was this past weekend. So how are they looking bad for 3 weeks? They lost to an OpTic team who is looking very good and improving, and there was F8 stabilizer bullshit drama. And then they lost to the Thieves, who they 100-point club map 1. And it was a Toronto versus Los Angeles series. So, like, how are they not looking good the last few weeks? They won the Kickoff Classic. They started the league looking dominant. And then they had one bad set of 2 days. Well, just 2 days.
Well, they did go to round 11 versus Seattle, but go ahead, Tom.
No, I was gonna say I think it's just the negative thing that you could say, or at least what I think about Toronto Ultra is just their past week, the past couple days they had. But I mean, you're gonna have days like that, sure. I think anytime you're on LAN, I feel like this team Toronto Ultra, and there's a lot of teams like that, OpTic Texas, FaZe, like these guys are always gonna be up here, like towards the top. I don't know. Is the Toronto going to be the only team we have in the A+ tier, or are we going to throw other teams in here?
My problem is
what's the main problem with it, Ben?
We'll see how we go down.
We're going to stack a lot of teams here in A and S, and like Ben Manson's in the chat. Like I'm sure they're grinding. I'm sure they're trying to play well, but like right now, based on form, like it's going to be an interesting match between them and the Thieves, or them and an OpTic right now. That's all I'm saying. Like just put them in an A+ tier. You know, it's going to get pretty funky with this list.
Listen. We'll keep doing the list, and we'll see where things fall, and we'll make little changes as we go. You know, we'll keep it going, and we'll see where we end up. All right, let's go on to the next one. We got OpTic Texas coming in next. Where do you put these guys? Because these guys started slow, but it's the opposite. Now they're kicking up to hitting form. You know what they could do. On paper, they're one of the best. They're going to be one of the best. They're going to be competing for championships at every event. So where do you put these guys?
Are we starting with Ben or me?
You go first.
We're going to start with you this time. Go ahead.
Listen, as I said day 1 of the flank, this is an S tier team. Mm-hmm. They're an S tier team. They started slow, but it was 2 round 11 game 5 losses, and then they're on an insane hot streak. They're looking good. There was rumors that Rokkr had them on 5 milliseconds in their first 2 games, unconfirmed. But they're smoking everybody right now. Shotzi is literally posting clips of turning away from his monitor, getting kills. This is an S tier team, bro. Put him in the S tier.
Mama Tats got him an A right now. Nice. Mama Tats wants him an A. Ben, what do you think?
I like them in S or A plus. They're in very good form right now. Their respawn looks great since that tough 0-2 start. I've liked what they've seen from them in S&D, and they played some good S&D squads. Just like FaZe and Toronto, like the barrier of which we evaluate this team, though, will be very much through the lens of how they play those other 2 teams, right? And I'm very curious for how OpTic is going to play against a hungry Seattle team, and then I expect OpTic to win that, and then they're going to probably match up against FaZe, and that's going to be a very telling series. So I think right now OpTic is looking as strong as we expected in the preseason, and I'm really excited to see some potential amazing battles that they're going to put out in their home series coming up next week.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, though. They're behind FaZe in S tier.
Well, right. So this is why I'm a little fucking confused, because when I'm seeing OpTic Texas and I'm seeing Toronto Ultra, I mean, I'm feeling A+ here. I'm just being honest. I feel like Toronto Ultra, if they're going to be an A+, it's probably where OpTic Texas should be, no? I feel like they should kind of...
like 4 teams A+.
Why not? Why not? Say 2.
We can't just give everybody A+.
Okay, so we're gonna so does this look right to you? So Atlanta FaZe S, OpTic Texas S, Toronto Ultra A+. Does that look right to you guys?
Yeah, Tom, you gotta think.
Okay, but we're gonna talk about Thieves.
Think about this. OpTic is 2 round 11s away from being 5-0. Think about that. And before we get into Seattle Surge, they are 2 round 11s away from being like 1-4.
Mm-hmm.
So let's keep that in mind. Like 2 round 11s decide a lot here when we're discussing, you know, who's good and who's bad.
All right.
You see what I'm saying?
The only thing I'll say about OpTic, I think the one weak spot, and I'm sure they're going to kind of address it this week on their pretty much pristine stats, is they're not. I think they're either in the middle or near the bottom of the league right now in first blood percentage in S&D. They're doing a good job winning offensive rounds and winning a lot of 3v4s, but they're not doing a good job of really generating a lot of 4v3s. So I think that's a good priority focus for them over the next week, is how to make those S&D rounds
and the thing is too, Ben, like that stat right there, right? Like the first blood percentage, it's something that they're probably aware of, and a team on paper like that, that's something they're not gonna have a problem with. Like first bloods, are you fucking kidding me? Like they're gonna they're gonna be running at you. They're gonna find ways to get a first blood, but execution is the most important thing. So we'll see. We'll see if they could do it at the event. But I'll keep him in S. I'll keep you, Pat. I was listening. I get it. I definitely get what you're saying. I definitely want to throw him up at the top. It's just, you know, we had Toronto Ultra and S at the beginning, you know, like bro, I don't want to doubt Toronto Ultra, like you said, after a couple of days.
That's why we put him to A+, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I guess that's why we made the A+ thing, so we could keep that there. But I don't think. Do you think we're gonna be seeing any more S's in here? I mean, let's look at the bottom here. Instead of picking a team, do you see any more teams getting into that S category? What do you think?
We haven't talked about Thieves yet. I want to hear what you guys think.
So, listen, no, I don't see any other teams getting an S, and the reason is, and don't get wrong, I have Thieves winning this major one. But based off of the stage 1, Thieves didn't play enough good teams to justify putting them in the S tier category. When you look at their wins, it's a lot of the lower seeded teams currently. But I do think Thieves are dominant. I think they're playing out of Los Angeles. They're an insanely good hardpoint team, by far the best in the game at the moment. But no, to your question, I don't think any other teams are as well rounded currently as FaZe and OpTic.
But what do you think? Anything in S that you see here? I'm still not feeling that OpTic Texas in S. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like they're a great team to put in A+. I think we can 100% see OpTic Texas.
But Tom, 2 rounds? Two rounds.
But Pat, you're always the one that preaches about winning. Doesn't matter if you win by 1 point. Doesn't matter if you win by that. Doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying?
But Tom, they had them on 5 milliseconds.
No, that was capped. That was confirmed capped by Rokkr. Rokkr came out.
Listen, if I was Rokkr and I was the one setting up the setup, I would say cap too.
Here's the thing. I'm not saying that OpTic can't go on and win this event. Of course they can. They're a great team. I definitely have their either A+ or S. Anywhere here. Like they're definitely in the right spot, all the way at the top. It doesn't look right to me to have Toronto Ultra and A+. It just doesn't. Toronto Ultra have been looking really good, Pat. They've been looking really good.
Listen, Tom, and I love you, and you know I love you.
I know. I love you too.
I feel like you're thinking with your shirt, and you're not thinking with your head, Tom.
My shirt? No,
You're
Pat.
thinking with your shirt,
Pat.
Tom.
See, Pat, you can't
Tom,
pull.
you're thinking with
Pat,
your
Pat,
shirt.
you can't
you
do
don't
that.
want anyone else
Pat,
in the
Pat,
S tier.
you can't do that. You know, Pat, here's the
Whoa,
problem.
from
Pat,
any
Pat,
of the 12 teams.
But go
not
to the
just one.
standings, Pat. Though, but go to the standings. Who's the only team
I
undefeated
agree.
at the top? Who's the only team?
But who's 2 S&D rounds away from also being in that category?
Yeah,
Huh?
you know. And I'm
Who's
one
what?
ticket
Who's what?
away
Who's
from being
2
annoying.
S&D rounds away from being?
So now we're
also
looking. So now we're looking at what trajectory? Like Ben used to talk about.
No trajectory. No trajectory. Listen, this team's red hot, and they had some really weird losses, but I think they fixed those issues, and they're an S tier team. It's just how it is. I
Listen,
agree with you. They're not as good as FaZe.
listen.
Don't get me wrong. They're not as good as FaZe, but they're an S tier team.
So you think they're better than they're better than Ultra, not as good
At
as
the
FaZe?
moment, yes.
They did just beat Toronto, so that is a fair point.
Okay. All right. So
Granted, shots he had on long barrel,
all
but
right.
they beat him.
Listen, Pat. We're gonna go with you today. All right. We're gonna put that. We're gonna put that.
You calling F8 long barrel?
We'll put it in the
Yeah,
S
that's
tier.
what it is.
We'll put
Extra
it in the
damage
S tier.
range.
You know, hey, listen. I see a lot of Lumas flying around. I know there's a lot of OpTic fans. I think very highly of OpTic. I do. I think they're an amazing team. And I think that they can win championships. I'm just being honest with you guys. I got to be honest. And I know it comes across as bias. I get that. But right now, FaZe is undefeated. They've been a top 2 team all for what, the last fucking three years now. OpTic Texas has had their ups and downs. I know it's an early season. They start off a little slow, but now they look great. So they're definitely at the S or the A+. I'm trying to figure out where to put them here because, you know, we have them above Toronto, who's a team that's been playing really, really well consistently for a while now. So, you know, it's a tough team to, you know, when you put OpTic at S and have Toronto A+, you know, I think about it a little bit. You know, I'm
They're
sitting here.
9-1 in their last 3 series.
No, I understand, Pat. I get that. And that's why I'm like, I'll keep them at the S tier. I'll do it. But I'm just letting you know the only reason why I was arguing the A+, you got to see it from another side. You know,
see
Pat?
it. I do. I see it.
You got to see it. You can see it. It's just, you know, OpTic are changing quickly. They're changing quickly. And the thing is that what you expected with OpTic? We were talking about this in the beginning of the year. We had OpTic at the S tier, and we're like, listen, give these guys time. Let them figure out what they got to do. Rambo's talking about, you can already see the improvement from week to week. On paper, they're unbelievable, right? So we'll see. I think only time will tell with these fucking guys. And that's why they're at the top, all right? So we'll keep them at S. We'll keep them at S for now, and we'll keep it going, and we'll see how it goes. We'll go into the next one. Who do you guys gonna go with next? Pat, I'm gonna let you pick the next one. I'm gonna let you pick the next one. Go ahead.
Listen, I want to pick an easy one for us, Tom. And I think Ben will agree. We'll all be on the same page here.
Okay.
Let's grab the Paris Legion and let's get them in C. And let's just get them in and get them in their spot. Lock it in.
Well, Pat, we don't know what fucking team they're playing with, Pat. We don't even know right now. We don't even know.
Tom, we're going off stage 1, right?
Brother. Like,
That's what we agreed
Hey, we'll go
on.
off stage 1. You're right.
We agreed to go off stage 1.
Yeah, you're right. We can't be thinking like that.
And we don't even know if they're allowed to make this change for this event. This might be a stage 2 roster if they do put it together.
True, very true. And Pat, you got to think mentally. The players is not going to be there.
Oh, it's going to be a full collapse if they aren't allowed
Well,
to make
think
this
about
change.
it though. Think about it. Say they're not allowed to make the change, right? The players that were potentially going to get dropped are going to kick the fuck up. They might kick the fuck up, Pat.
Oh, not only they kicking up, Tom, they're baiting for sure.
Hey, Pat, it's one last opportunity to show them what they got. Seriously. So like things are going to get real interesting
But
here.
you know how roster changes work, Tom. There's like a
they change day by day.
less than 1% chance of a comeback once you kind of have these rumors floating around. Once the players have discussed it, the coaches have discussed it. It's really hard to kind of go back to that same environment and put a team back together.
Yeah. Well, listen. Personally, I don't know what the fuck's going on in that camp. We'll keep it in the C for now. I like that. We're gonna throw them in C. Ben, you okay with that? You okay with the C? You like that?
yeah, I mean, they didn't have a good stage 1. Like, I don't know.
Okay.
What else needs to be said
Then we'll
there?
put them over there. It's no problem. All right, let's go into the next one. Let's see who we got. Let's do the New York Subliners. What the fuck is happening with the New York Subliners? Pat, I'm gonna kick this off with you. I know you're a big New York guy. Go ahead.
I love New York, Tom.
Me too. I love New York too.
Some great friends on that team.
Yep.
People I've teamed with for many years throughout my career. But the reality is, Tom, they suck.
They suck.
But I will give them the benefit of the doubt. They're trying to get better, right? They're trying. I see Clay grinding.
Clay, I was just playing rank play with him last night till fucking midnight.
Tom, I haven't seen Clay play a public match in like 6 years of Call of Duty. So I think the good news about this New York Subliner camp is they know they suck. and there's something really good about knowing you suck, because you gotta step up and you just realize it and start playing and start playing more and start progressing and getting better. So look, to just kind of summarize, Tom, they're C. They're not as bad as Paris, but they're C. But I think, and we'll kind of see how this plays out. I don't think the roster changes are over for this squad. I think they're planning them already. They're thinking about what works, what doesn't work, what's available on the market, both in challengers and the pro league. And yeah, we'll just have to see. I don't see them placing outside of the top or better than 12th or 11th, whatever the tiebreaker is at the major. But yeah, we'll kind of see what happens. For me, they just had a really bad stage 1, 0-9 or 0-10 in hardpoint. That's just pitiful. And yeah, they're just a C tier team.
All right, let's go over to you, Ben. What do you think? C tier, right above Bears. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, they're a surprising part of the C tier, but I think based on how they played through 5 matches, that they're sitting on a goose egg in hardpoint. I think there's some room to grow there. They do have a really tough draw, being in losers and who they were going to potentially play round 1. So, yeah, I think all that's said and done, unfortunately, they're going to be sitting in C.
Yeah, we're going to have to put them down over there.
Can you do me a quick favor, Tom?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Can you rename the C tier to F? I don't know why it's C. It doesn't make sense.
Why don't we name it to D, since we just do like A, B, C, D?
Because they're F for they fucking suck.
Okay, F for they.
Nah, you can't type the whole thing out.
Okay.
No, yeah, just F.
It's at F. We'll keep it there, but it just okay. We'll keep them in the F. I like that. So we're gonna go S, A plus, A, B, F. That's our tier list. Fuck it.
That works.
Listen, it's our fucking list. We can do whatever the fuck we want with it.
Exactly.
Okay. So we'll keep it like this. All right. This is how we're gonna do it. Let's do this. Seattle Surge. Well, first, let me give my opinions on New York. Dude, they suck. They're terrible. I don't know what's going on with them. I was telling Clay, honestly, I was
from the person who's the voice of no pressure.
Listen. I was just I don't care. Listen, I told them. Listen, I'm on the show. I gotta say what I gotta say. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah. They know this. Listen, sometimes you gotta say stuff about people you don't want to, but you say how it is. It's just a game. At the end of the day, we're talking about a game here. We're talking about at the end of the day, we're not attacking nobody personally, but they're not playing good right now. They're not playing good, and I was just playing rank play with Clay. And he gave me the play stick, Pat. You know what that is? The play stick, the fucking, you get the calls. You get to call the shots. You get the stick for the round, an S&D. I bought him all the way back, Pat. I called play 4 rounds in a row, got him all the way back. 1 round fell apart. You want to know why?
What happened?
Because Clay didn't listen to the play stick. He didn't listen to me. He didn't listen to me.
He goes rogue, Tom.
He did not listen to me, and we lost that round. And I think that might be the problem. I think I figured it out in rank play in less than 5 minutes, Pat. I think that's the problem right there. So, Clay, if you're listening, I think you need to get Paco to play stick more. I think that's what you got to do, Clay. All right, so I'm going to leave it at that.
We talked about it, Tom. Where
they do
Paco
the best, to play stick.
Yeah, where they do the best, it's literally Paco just running around and having his way. Yep. That's when they're the best.
Well, I think that's what Clay said. Clay was like, well, I mean, Paco just did whatever the fuck he wanted last time. So
yeah,
I
stop
think,
trying to control that guy.
Yeah,
just let that guy
you got to let him off the leash.
Whatever.
Yeah, let him do what he's got to do and just let him make the calls and play around him. And that's that. Let's get into the next one. We got the Los Angeles Gorillas. What do you guys think for this one? LAG, where are we putting them here? This is where things this is where things get fucked up, man.
I will say it for sure. This is the hardest team in the entire league to rank by far.
I don't think it's that hard.
It's the hardest for sure.
I don't think it is right now.
So we'll start with you, Ben. Yeah, Ben, we'll start with you.
The hardest.
They're definitely surprising me right now, especially their prowess and hardpoint. Them Thieves are probably statistically the 2 best hardpoint teams right now. I think I'll have to give them a few more games. They would jump up this ranking just because they had a slow start. I think the only thing for LEG right now is their S&D is not amazing, but they're so good at respawn that they're clutching up these series right now.
No, Ben. I have to interrupt you. They're not good at respawn. They're good at hardpoint. Their control is pitiful.
Yeah, I mean,
what is the control? You got a record?
I think it's like 1 and 4.
Yeah.
And the one they won, it was like fucking Asim just took over and had his way.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I'll say with their control is I think they played quite a few games on Gava 2. The control stats are interesting, and we could talk about another show in terms of teams that are playing Gava 2 and Tuscan and what the win percentage is based on if you're picking the map or not and sides. But that aside, like, I think the way that LEG's performed against some tough opposition, though, makes me go put them in A, not in B. I really like the way that they're set up against this matchup versus London. I think they're going to come out and probably win that series, and then they might be able to ride that momentum with that team. I just feel really good about where they've moved up a tier now and where they sit in A.
I don't know, man. London scares me. I'm gonna be honest with you. Those guys can play, but Pat, what do you think? Why are they the hardest team for you to rank? What is it about these guys?
So it's not so much which tier they fall in, because I think you can make a case for either A or B.
Yeah.
I think it's more about where they fall within that tier. For me, if we are gonna throw them in A, they're gonna be the last team in A, and if we throw them in B, they're gonna be the best team in B. Kind of to what Ben said, this team is impressive in hardpoint. There's no taking that away. When they're slaying, the way we know they're capable of, they're a dominant hardpoint team. But for me, their control is just too bad. 1-4, and they've some of the ways they've lost is kind of just not good at all. And S&D, they're just wildly inconsistent. So for me, Tom, I'm gonna let you make the decision. My call is either top of B or bottom of A.
Top of B or bottom of A. I was thinking somewhere in A. I was gonna put them in A just because hardpoint it is a big game mode. I mean, listen, if they're what, they're 7-1 in hardpoint, right, or 8-1? What is their record exactly?
6-1, I think.
6-1. They're really good in hardpoint. I feel like the control and the S&Ds are game modes that you can easily switch around. It's just good to see. I feel like it's a better problem to have if you're losing controls in S&D rather than hardpoints. Would you agree with that or no?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, two modes compared to one.
Yeah.
But the problem is they're not good at S&D either.
And
Tom, listen,
I mean,
this is something to kind of, this is why, because there's a potential for that LAG or the LAG Rokkr matchup.
Yeah.
I have Rokkr, and I think that Rokkr is not the better respawn team, but I think they can get it done in 2-3-5. And that's the problem, right? Because when you look at teams and you kind of compare them with other teams and how good they are and where they fall in certain tiers, well, you kind of think, can they beat the team that's, can a team lose to a team that's behind them?
Yeah.
And in the case of Rokkr, I think that's true. I think Rokkr could easily steal a series from the Gorillas 2-3-5. But I think the Gorillas are dominant at hardpoint, so they're probably going to win 1-4. So it's weird, man. It's a weird team right now, and until they improve in one of those two modes, it's kind of really hard to rank them.
Yeah, I want to see who else we throw up in the B. Let's keep them in B for now. We're gonna keep them in B for now, and as we go through, we'll see how all the other teams kind of settle in, because then I think it'll be a little bit easier to rate those guys. But right now, let's move on to another one. Ben, you'll go with B? You think that looks good, or would you rather see them in A?
I'm gonna put them in B for now.
You think they're good? Okay, we'll leave them there for now. Let's go over to the Minnesota Rokkr. Let's do the other purple squad. What do we do with these guys?
A solid B team. We've seen the highs and lows from Minnesota so far this stage. They've had some impressive Game 5 wins with some big Game 4 comebacks. We've also seen them continue to struggle and respawn like they did last year. This team's truly an enigma. It continues to be an enigma for me. I don't know on a given day which version of this team we're going to get.
Under LAG? You would put them under LAG, right? You have Minnesota under LAG right now. I think that's fine.
The thing with LAG for me, Tom, is I think they can be a better S&D team because they actually are doing a good job of winning first bloods, and they're just blowing a lot of man situations right now. And generally, teams regress to the middle on that, so I think their S&D is going to improve. Minnesota is an elite S&D team, don't get me wrong, but I'm just very concerned that once again their respawn is really lacking, and doesn't really seem to be a lot of upwards movement there, so hopefully they can figure it out.
All right, we'll keep them in B for now. I like that. I like where it is. I think for me, this is where it gets tricky. We have the London Royal Ravens, and we had the Florida Mutineers. London's a weird one for me. I'm going to be honest. London's a weird one. I think London deserves to be in my A, or in A. What do you guys think?
So, yeah, London's not a weird one for me, Tom. I think this is almost an A lock. They've looked good.
I think it's definitely an A-lock. I don't know why I'm beating around the bush. I think they're definitely up there. I'm a big fan of this London roster. I think they're really good.
I had this team in 11th, I think, when the league started or something like that, when we were doing the initial tier list after the Kickoff Classic.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's obviously because they came off a 3-0, got smoked, went home. But this team has stepped up. This team looks insanely impressive so far. Their slaying capability is kind of wild. I mean, we heard Gizmo when he came on the flank. and even in his interviews, he kind of feels that their team can slay with anybody they come up against. And just from a confidence standpoint, Tom, and you kind of know this back, you know, when you were dominating in AW, when you kind of go into series like that, feeling that you could outslay any team.
Yeah. Confidence.
Yeah. You feel on top of the world. You feel like you can beat anybody. So
I mean, yeah, it rolls you through the event.
This team's easy in A. And I think they're not only are they in A, Tom. I think they could pull off a couple of wild upsets if they have some matchups.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I really like this London team. I think they are playing a very watchable, not afraid, in-your-face brand of Call of Duty. Their hardpoint numbers are very interesting, even crazier than what we've seen from Atlanta FaZe in the past. They have an insane break percentage and their hold percentage is super low. So something's got to give there. Historically, we haven't seen that be super sustainable. I really don't like the ceiling on this team. And I'm seeing a lot of bullshit like why you're not putting them in A+ or whatever. Like, A is a perfect spot for this team because they could very easily win this event. They are definitely one of the contenders going to Kickoff Classic, but can also see them coming in. They're on that bottom side of that winner's bracket. It's a gauntlet down there, and they can see them struggling. And it's another learning lesson for a team that I think is very primed to be a contender this entire season. That's a massive surprise on my part. I did not see that starting the season.
Yeah. You know what pisses me off when people kind of don't like where we have them in tiers? Just think about this. This is our last tier list was after the Kickoff Classic, right?
Yeah.
And we had Ultra as, I think, did we have him as the best team in A?
We had him in S. We had Ultra in S.
Did we have him as the best team in S?
I'm pretty sure we had Ultra as S. No, not best team in S. We had
the
FaZe.
Best team?
No, I don't think so. I think didn't we have FaZe as the best team in S? And then
I don't remember.
We can probably find it. Somebody can link it to us.
Think about this. They literally lost 2 matches in the last weekend, and we brought them down a tier. And people are complaining. Like, I think it's appropriate for where we're ranking these people.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we have
overperformed, and they went from the last tier to A. Like,
well, listen. Okay, I understand people are gonna have everybody's gonna have a different opinion.
They were in the last tier because you were out here saying that Paris is bad, then, bro. Like,
you guys had them like just as bad. You had them like 10th or something. Like, it's the same shit.
Because it's
10th,
a crowded field, but I was out here saying they were 12th and Paris was
Listen, they got we did this after the Kickoff Classic where they literally got 3-0 smoked and were home before I even tuned into the stream. Like, it just.
I think we did have Ultra, by the way, in the first tier. That's just people were saying in the chat. So I think we did have Ultra first overall in S.
Yeah, because they won the event.
They won it. Yeah, you were talking about after the event. I think I'm thinking of something else, but that makes sense because they won the event and they were the best team. So yeah, they were the best. We definitely had them there. Listen, I don't know. What do you think, Ben?
What do I think about London?
Yeah. You like them in A?
I mean, like I said, I like them in A. I think that they have a massive opportunity to be one of the contenders for this weekend. They're on a tough side of the bracket. I'm not 100% sold that their hardpoint game is sustainable in the way that they're playing, because as teams start to get more comfortable with the game, they get their rotations, their timings down, and it becomes very much more of a setup game than it is right now with teams that are taking advantage of just speed timings.
Yeah.
They're going to have to adjust a little bit. We've seen a lot of teams struggle with that. But I like the ceiling on this team. They have run into some good counter strats on Berlin S&D, which they played a lot. But what I like from this London team is they played a lot of Gava 2 and they've crushed a lot of people on Gava 2. And they're going to end up playing that a bunch this weekend. So I just kind of really like where London's trending going this weekend. I think A is a fair spot.
Which is funny. Are they picking Gava 2 control? Is that like a pick for them when they're the higher seed?
They have to be.
Or teams picking that first them.
I have to go back to the vetoes to confirm if they are winning those coin flips.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we have those? Who wins the coin flips?
We don't have that specifically, but we know how to tell who's Team A, which anyone who wins the coin flip is going to take Team A.
I would be thoroughly shocked if anyone is picking, at least right now, Team B, just because.
No team.
Because right now choosing control is key. I do think that there is a world some point in the next month or so that teams will expand the map pool enough that they don't care which control they play. They just want to dictate which side they pick on certain maps, and that was sort of the Team B strat that teams are rolling out a lot in Modern Warfare, and we'll see if that comes into play this year.
Listen, my opinions on London, I think this team's incredible. I love their confidence. I love how aggro they get, how aggressive they play on a map. You can just tell that they're not scared of anything. They just seem like they've been doing this for a long time. Like, I don't know what it is. It's just I get a really good vibe from them. I just feel like having them in A makes sense. Obviously, when you look at the teams above them, you know, there's different levels. Obviously, we're doing a tier list here. I think that London could definitely come out and have the most upset potential, like Pat said. I agree with that. I'm a big fan of these guys. I think they're doing well. I think as long as Trey keeps doing what he's doing, that's like the X factor. If Trey's frying and all the guys are frying and they're all feeding off that energy, I mean, they're going to be good. These guys are going to be hard to beat. So I like London and A. I think that's a good spot for them. Let's go on to the Florida Mutineers. Where would you guys put these guys? B? I feel like B is a pretty good place to put them.
Yeah, I think there would be, and I think, Tom, to me, it's impossible to put them in a tier that's not the same as the Breach. I feel like the Breach and Florida are almost identical at this point in time. They're both teams that have a really high ceiling, can beat anybody on any given day, but could lose to any team on any given day. I think, to me, right now, they're about as equal as it gets until we kind of see more and until these teams progress.
Just up and downs. A lot of ups and downs with these guys. They're all over the place. You never know what you're gonna get. You never know what you're gonna get.
Better than Paris and New York.
I agree with that from Pat, because they're both about the same level in hardpoint, but like Breach is a better S&D team, and they're struggling mightily in control. They played a lot of Gava too, to be fair. And then the Florida side, like they're not awful in control right now, but the S&D hasn't been to the level that we might expect from Florida. So I agree with that. Like kind of putting them in some kind of spot in around the B category seems kind of fair. They're going to be a weird team right now. You're just not really sure you're going to get.
What's Boston's S&D record been? Do you have it?
It's got to be good. It's got to be good. They've been really good in that game mode.
Started good, but it
4-3.
Yeah.
They let up a little bit. Yeah.
They've had some like really tight losses, some 6-4s in there. But they've been.
Yeah, they have that one Nero play.
I mean, listen, you guys keep talking about tight losses. Bet you said this, Pat. You said this. Forget about the tight losses. They're all, bro. Look at the teams. Look at the competition. These games are gonna be gruelers all year. I mean, it's gonna come down to execution and who's making the less mistakes and who's gonna clutch up. That's how it's always been. You know.
No, just particularly though, Boston necessarily wasn't all game 5 round 11s. That's why I brought that up with OpTic. Was they lost like literally 2 game 5 round 11s.
Yeah, that's different. I mean, it's situational. It's situational.
Boston's playing a lot of Tuscan right now, which
all I'm saying,
a lot of Tuscans are going down to. There aren't that many amazing blowouts right now in Tuscan. We've seen a couple, obviously, like we saw on Sunday, but we've also seen a lot of tight 6-4, 6-5s on Tuscan, and they've been participating in many of those.
I'm just saying, games are going to be close all year, man. Like they're going to be close.
This is why I'm going to give the edge to Florida in this series, or not in this series. Sorry, in this ranking. Boston lost to the NYSL, like. That's a bad look. And granted, they kind of did throw that series, right, for kind of how we discussed it. But they, at the end of the day, they lost to the NYSL, who just look absolutely terrible to everyone else. And that's why I'm going to give the edge to Florida here in this ranking. I think they should be ahead of Boston for now. This is easily a coin flip change, right, at 51-49. But yeah,
I agree. Because New York took them down, I don't mind putting them at the bottom of B. We'll put them there compared to everybody else. We'll leave them there.
And they lost both S&Ds.
Yeah, I think that looks fine. But I definitely agree, Pat. The close to round 11s, I get that. I get that a lot. But I think just all year, bro. Like I feel like these games are gonna be so close from start to finish, from start of the season to the finish. We're gonna have a lot of round 11s, a lot of 6-4s, 6 like 4, 5, 6s, whatever, round 11s, whatever. Let's get into the next one. Los Angeles Thieves. Donnie was in the chat saying S, but I don't know. This is where things get tricky. This is where things get tricky now, Pat.
Both these teams.
And Seattle Surge.
Well, I think Seattle one's a little bit more clear to me. We could talk about that. Thieves is hard because I really, really like what I've seen from this Thieves team, especially in hardpoint and control. The only sore spot for Thieves is they aren't the best S&D team in the world. And I'm a little concerned about that matchup when they play these gruely 5-game series against a FaZe or an OpTic, that I am going to favor those other two teams probably in a game 5. There might be some kind of learning that these need to do, but like they look on these respawns, man, they can go toe to toe with anyone right now. And I think a lot of that, to me, a lot of credit obviously goes to the young guys. Ken's been disgusting.
Yeah.
And I feel that Sam's been super impactful on this team. And that has helped them a lot.
So you want to know why? You want to know why I have them winning the event? It's literally because that listening, bro. I don't think I heard a single team calming the way they were calming And that shit goes a long way. That is a very underrated trait for any team. When you're calming the way that they were, small talking the way that they were, tracking, picking up people, like I don't think I've seen another listening. There was no panic. There was nothing. It was just it sounded like
It was a good
Tom's the
listening.
best team in the game.
I don't know if you've seen Pat, but they uploaded 22 minutes just straight comms, raw gameplay tournament comms. Like it's actually it's pretty cool. It's just 22 minutes straight of their tournament communication.
That is dope.
And I know there's a lot of players that are looking to get to that next level and ask a lot of questions about communication and kind of how pros like to talk to each other. And if you guys are interested, go over to the LA Thieves YouTube channel. They're doing a great job over there with the content. And they uploaded 22 minutes straight. We were watching back a little bit today, and it was a really good watch. So I recommend it. And they do have great comms. They do.
So while Attach is telling his mom that she needs her phone taken away, I'm gonna rank both these teams. And I think this is why this A plus category makes so much sense. I think LA Thieves should go first in the A plus category.
Yeah,
I think they're right there on the brink of jumping into S tier, kind of like what you said, Ben. Until we can see that S&D improvement, that's what to me is holding them back. But as far as respawn goes, better in
S&D, this is like,
it's an S tier lock for sure.
This is a dangerous team.
And then Seattle, I think, goes at the end of A tier. I think for me, this team just hasn't had any impressive wins outside of the Kickoff Classic. They had 2 round 11 clutch ups. No, AA, not A plus. 2 round 11 clutch ups from the Lamar icing up.
You think they're on the downfall, Pat? You
I
feel
do.
like
I think they're on the downfall.
These guys are sinking.
I mean, Tom, they're 10-10 in map count. Okay, majority of those wins are search, I believe. And yeah, I just don't see them. I don't see them playing the way they played the kickoff. They played really good at the kickoff, and then ever since then they had, we were kind of talking about them as the league started. We were like, damn, this team's keeping it up. But in reality, they just clutched up in round 11s. And other than that, they didn't look good in any of their series, and they looked really bad in the end of their series.
Yeah.
So similar to Toronto, they had that bad. They're starting to fall off a little bit from the Kickoff Classic, but I think Toronto is overall a better team than them right now. And yeah, I think this how we got it right now looks really good.
Well, it's crazy how much a tier list changes just after 1 week, right? Every week it changes. Every single time they're playing. Every single time they're playing, it changes, and that just goes to show, like, listen, guys, it's a tier list, and we're all gonna agree or disagree. I mean, everybody's gonna have their own opinions on where people should go. But at the end of the day, there's multiple teams who could take it all, and these are constantly going to change from week to week, So
and Tom, I think something you should mention here is how close these tiers really are.
No, they're so close. I mean, we added an A plus tier because it just didn't make sense.
I think if you look at this list, I feel pretty confident in this top 4. This feels like a pretty solid top 4.
Yeah.
It's crazy though, because you look at like the next 4 teams.
Top 4 makes sense.
I think London's playing some insane Call of Duty right now, and they could just continue that form and absolutely just curb stomp everybody at this event. Seattle looked great at Kickoff Classic, hasn't looked so good last week, but if they can figure out how to get back to the performance at Kickoff Classic, again, they're a similar team to London. They like play that in-your-face play style. They can play well. LAG we talked about, like, they can run certain parts of the game. I see them in endurance series. In Minnesota, like, bro, last year, man. Like, they went to an event, the respawn got hot. They're a solid S&D team, and they can take W's. It's actually insane. I think between those 8 teams, like, all of them have pretty solid win conditions right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the top 4 is pretty solidified. I have no idea who's going to win. Like, looking at the top 4, like, I'm predicting one of those teams to win. And if any of those teams match in finals, it can go either way, right? I agree with you, Ben. I definitely think London is going to be, like, looking at London compared to all the other teams. I think under that A+, I think London 100% has the advantage there. I think they're looking really, really good. Through Seattle and then Ola B and even F, I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. I have no idea. I think there's a lot of talent down there. There is, and I think we don't know what people are gonna come out with. And I think after this event, we might potentially see a team that's that B or F tier go all the way up to AA plus. If they do really well and make a run, which I can 100% see. So I think the list is good. I think there's a lot of disagreements in the chat, maybe with the OpTic in S and A+. A lot of people keep spamming that, but I think it's fine. Regardless, OpTic's...
I think the problems with our list that people are obviously think we have OpTic too high, which is fair, but I think that teams got it very good pedigree every time they're on land. Like even when those
I agree.
OpTic and Dallas teams weren't super contenders last year, they were always making it deep in tournaments and majors. So I think we're baking that in a bit. And the London team, like I think, is very good. I think we can all agree we're just waiting to see what version of London shows up next week. We think they can be good, but there might be another learning lesson week for them as well. So I think that's why we're putting them in A instead of.
Yeah, I mean the top four gets extremely close. It's extremely close between the top four.
Give me your top three. So right now from the event, what do you think your top three placings are in order?
I got the same as the tier list, to be honest. I got FaZe, OpTic, LA Thieves, top three.
In that order. So OpTic beats Thieves in loser finals, plays FaZe grand finals, and loses.
Yep.
I gotta agree with Tom. I would have loved to have put Toronto in his top three, but like based on current form, it's hard for me to justify like putting them in a top three spot. But like you never know with these tournaments and how these can stack up. I like this Thieves team, and they're going to be there or thereabouts. But I think we're destined for an incredible OpTic FaZe final here.
What do you think, Pat? You got Thieves, right, Pat? You got Thieves.
Matches.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you're right, Ben. I think, but I don't know if we're gonna get that FaZe OpTic final, but I do think we'll get that FaZe OpTic Saturday night fucking juicer of a match. I think that'll be one of the best matches of the weekend. But yeah, I mean, looking at the bracket, I mean, we kind of talked about this. That lower bracket, I think there's a team that's gonna make a run there, and I think it's gonna be Thieves. I think they're gonna go all the way to the winter finals. And then off pure momentum and the fact that they're playing so well in Hardpoint, I got them upsetting FaZe. And I don't know the format, Ben. Is it still a best of 9 again this year?
I believe so. That's what I think is listed on the website, right?
Okay. I wasn't sure. And so, yeah, I mean, just for the sole fact that Thieves are looking so good in Hardpoint, Slasher said, best of 9, we barely got 9 maps. I got Thieves taking it. And I think they'll beat Atlanta in the final, and I got OpTic getting third.
Keep in mind, I mean, these are just predictions. We have no idea what the fuck's gonna happen, guys. We're just guessing. I mean, anything can happen. Seriously. I mean, when it gets this close, and when you see the teams on paper, we'll see. I think that if there's any team that's fucking up my top three, and I'm looking at an underdog, it's London. I got 100% see London getting top three this event. My personal opinion.
Easily, yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys agree with me on that, but if my top three gets messed up,
they have to win 2 series for top 3, Tom. Like they have a rematch.
Yeah, it's nothing. 2 series is nothing. Pat, they forget how many series we used to play back in the day to win a fucking event. You remember how many series we had to play?
A lot.
A lot.
Play minimum 3 in a group stage, and then another like 3 or 4 to 5 in a break.
You're playing like series after series after fucking series. It never ended.
8 to 9 over 3 days.
Yeah, so now it's like, teams could come out and, bada bing, bada boom. They win a series or 2 and they find themselves in a good spot. It wasn't like that. So I think anything could happen at some of these events, especially with what we're seeing. I know I've said that a million fucking times. I don't know why I keep saying that, but it's just crazy looking at it because our tier list keeps changing like drastically, and it hasn't even been that long. So we're gonna keep it going. I think this is gonna be our final tier list. You guys think you guys are okay with the list? You guys think this looks good? I think it looks good. I think we're good.
I think it looks good. I think it's well balanced, and the fact that we have so many teams in B kind of speaks to the level of competition in the league right now.
Sounds good. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you the pre-OpTic Major, the flank tier list. This is us. What do you guys give us? Give us a rank, 1 through 10. 10 being great, 1 being dirt shit. What do you guys give our tier list? Drop it in the chat below. Ben, you want to sync a puff for us before we close it out?
Yeah, I gotta find my.
Sync that fucking part. Do what you do. Okay, not bad. Okay, we're getting like a lot of Pat, we're not getting many 10s. There's only a few 10s in here. We're not getting a lot of 10s from our list.
Tom, you know what it is? I'm noticing like a lot of the people that were calling it bad, or I'm sorry, a lot of people that are calling it good now weren't speaking up when we were making the list. So I think a lot of the support's coming in now, and they're like, wow, this shit's actually nice.
Yeah, they like that. They like 9, that shit.
8, 10, 9, yeah.
They like that shit. And also, Pat, don't put what's with the bias card with the t-shirt? Why you got Pat, why you gotta do that?
I just saw your shirt, Tom.
Why you gotta do that?
I was jealous I didn't have one. That's what it was.
We'll get you one, Pat. Don't worry about it. We'll get you one. Oh, Pat, you're going wide left, aren't you?
Wide left. Always wide left.
I'm going wide right then. I'm going wide left. Here he goes. He steps up to the plate. Great stroke. Out of Ben. Great stroke. Wow. Ben, that's impressive. That is impressive, Ben. Unbelievable. Unfucking believable.
Easy.
Ben, that is fantastic shots out of you. I mean, you've been rolling, baby, rolling.
Trying to roll the shoulders.
I like that, Ben. Well, listen, I didn't expect to flank today, guys, but you guys got one. I was not prepared for this, but I hope you guys did enjoy. We just kind of went with the flow today. We haven't done an emergency flank in a while, so keep in mind, we don't plan any of these. We kind of just go with the flow and do what we do. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Huge shout out to everybody who's tuned in. I'm gonna continue to stream and hop into rank play. You guys know me. I'm gonna keep the grind going. But thank you guys for tuning into the flank. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Go to anchor.fm/theflank. Check out all the audio sites that we're on. And go to @theflank on Twitter. Gert's doing a phenomenal job keeping you guys up to date with everything you need to know with the shows and everything. So just make sure you guys are following on there, and make sure you guys are following the stream.
And like the video.
And like the video, where the likes have been getting better. The likes, the last video when Pat shouted out the likes, we doubled. We went to 2.7. We didn't get to 5K, but listen, we're getting 40,000 plus views on a video. Let's get that up to 5,000. You know, Pat, you think they got it in them? You think they could do it? I think they can do it.
I think they could easily do it, Tom.
I think
There's
they
a
can
lot
do
of
that.
laziness out there. A lot of laziness out there.
It takes half a second. Boom. You hit that like button. You're good to go. Listen, we appreciate you guys. We'll see you guys probably when the major starts. Probably the next time. I mean, probably next time we do a flank episode.
Next week, yeah.
Okay, so I'll be uploading more content to the main. I think me and Val are gonna start uploading some highlights and stuff. But when it comes to the flank, probably in a week, guys, we'll be back. So thank you guys for watching. Take care, brush your hair, and we'll see you guys in another episode of the flank.